First of all, I want to say thank you to every single person for watching our Pulse of Israel videos and for donating. We are a donor-based operation. You receive these videos every day, and all the work that you receive from me, input about Israel, the Jewish people, because of donations, little donations, or big donations from people like you. So if you are someone who has donated in the past, and you donate today, I just want to say thank you so much for your continued support and allowing us to continue our work at the Pulse of Israel. Now I want to start with the good news. Look at this picture. This is the western side of the Philadelphia corridor on the border of Gaza and Egypt. Israel and the IDF now have total control of this area in Gaza, the border with Egypt, which is imperative for us to remain there and for it to remain under Israeli control. In addition, Israel and the IDF are in total control of the northern Gaza Strip, as well as a strip in the middle of the Gaza Strip, breaking it up into two. Interestingly, this was the exact security strategy of the Rabin-led Labor government back in the 1970s when they planned the resettlement of Jewish communities in the north, south, and center of Gaza to best protect Israel. Again, there was a left-wing government. These Israeli flags that you see in the picture must remain in Gaza forever. The only way to protect Israel from the Islamo-Nazi terrorists, our enemies in Gaza, and to give them the message to never ever attack us again, is to make Gaza Jewish again and ensure that our enemies know that it's always going to be Jewish under Israeli control. Now let's deal with the headline news. Israel's security establishment, including many former IDF chief of staffs, the current chief of staff, and heads of intelligence and former generals and heads of intelligence, are continuing to push to end the war in Gaza and pressure Netanyahu into making a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Why do they want to risk appeasing our enemies and stopping the war? Because in the words of all of the current and former security experts, quote, the IDF will know how to deal with the security challenges that come about after a ceasefire. But October 7th has woken up a majority of the Jewish people in Israel to no longer trust them, no longer endanger our lives for them to take risks with our lives. However, one major problem these security experts and the media have in their way is that it's Hamas who doesn't want a deal. And even though Hamas is the one always saying no to a deal, it does not stop our security officials or former security heads and experts from being interviewed on establishment media channels night after night, day after day, in Israel, and instead blaming the failure of a ceasefire deal all on Netanyahu and his right-wing coalition partners, like Smotrich and Ben Gvir, while consistently ignoring the fact that it is Hamas who are the ones who keep on saying no to a deal. Can there be a bigger hint to understanding that this whole ceasefire captive deal is not about freeing our captives, but really a political ploy to topple Netanyahu and his government? Here's one of the latest campaigns they are pushing right now across Israel. The person in the following video is a former deputy IDF chief of staff named Matan Donai. Listen to his message.
ממשלת ישראל מובילה אותנו לתהום, לאסון לאומי. למרות הטבח האיום, ממשיכה הממשלה עם הקונספציה של חמאס נכס והרשות הפלסטינית נטל, אשר הביאה לאסון הנורא. לטבח השביעי באוקטובר, טבח נתניהו. האינטרס הישראלי, סיום התמרון הקרקעי ברפיח, הגעה לעסקה לשחרור החטופים, והסדר אסטרטגי חדש במזרח התיכון.
Did you hear that he called the massacre of October 7th the Netanyahu massacre? That is the language that some of the leaders of the political left are using in Israel. This man isn't some Joe Schmo person. This is a former Labor Party leader, a former deputy IDF chief of staff, in a video of an official organization that represents hundreds or thousands of former IDF and security leaders. They have so much hatred towards Netanyahu that they are officially calling the October 7th massacre the Netanyahu massacre. It is so sad and so insane. Then the other insane thing is that he blames Netanyahu for strengthening Hamas. No, it's the policies of the political left that are at fault for Hamas rising to power in Gaza especially. Once Hamas took power in Gaza, by the fact that they were in power, it helped Netanyahu fight off international pressure because it allowed Netanyahu to tell the world, hey, The Arabs in Judea and Samaria and Gaza are divided. They kill each other, with Hamas literally throwing off Palestinian Authority employees off of rooftops during its 2007 coup. So don't you dare force Israel to accept the establishment of a Palestinian state. They're a divided people killing each other. That is the reality that these former security experts on the left conveniently ignore. Now listen to the commentary to Matan Vilnai's remarks.
תראו, זה אירוע מופרע. זה אירוע מופרע. האנשים האלה, הוא היה סגן רמטכ"ל, וכל האנשים וכל האלופים, הם פשוט, אמר לי מישהו היום, לא משנה מאיפה, שהם חוששים שעוד חלילה אנחנו ננצח במלחמה הזאת. מתן וילנאי, על מה הוא מדבר? על מה הוא מדבר? למען השם? מה אתה רוצה? למה אתה, איך אומרים, מרפא את ידי ראש הממשלה? מרפא? למה אתה עושה את זה? למה אתם עושים את זה? רק בגלל שזה נתניהו? להחליש? אלוקים שישמור. אנחנו במלחמה, אנחנו במשא ומתן, על אינטרסים אסטרטגיים של מדינת ישראל. המשמעות היא שכל העסקאות הקודמות שילמנו בדם. די!
אפשר להקריא לך, סליחה, פשוט כי מתן וילנאי, אז דיברנו על עסקאות קודמות, אני יכול להקריא לך משהו של מתן וילנאי על עסקת שליט? אין לי ברירה אלא להצביע בעד עסקת שליט, ואז הוא מוסיף. מדובר בהחלטה קשה, אבל אין לנו ברירה. יש לנו מחויבות עמוקה להחזיר כל חייל חטוף חזרה הביתה, עכשיו קבל את המשפט, ואני סומך על צה"ל ומערכת הביטחון שידעו להתמודד עם ההשלכות שיהיו לעסקה בשטח. אני מוכן להישבע שיש סרטון של מתן וילנאי, אגב, שהיה מנכ"ל של מפקדים למען ביטחון ישראל, אם אני זוכר נכון, אותו ארגון שהוציא את החתימות, נכון?
ההתנתקות תביא ביטחון,
החתימות של ההתנתקות תביא ביטחון, אני חושב שיש אותו רקע אפילו. אם אני זוכר נכון את הסרטון של הביטחוניסטים לפני עסקת שליט, זה סוג של רקע כחול כזה, חיובי, ואנחנו נדע להתמודד עם הכל. שנייה לפני שאני מעביר לשטבון, היום יוצא אותו משפט מגלנט. אותו משפט מיואב גלנט. אין מכשול ביטחוני שהוא בלתי עביר בשבילנו למען העסקה. תמיד כשהאנשים האלה אומרים לכם שהם ידעו להתמודד עם הכל, תדעו שאין להם תוכניות לכלום.
Now I want you to listen to Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who has been a partner for decades and warning about the dangers of giving away our land and guns to terrorists, our enemy, and treating them like a peace partner.
אני באמת לא יודע להסביר את הדהירה של ראשי מערכת הביטחון לעסקה הזו. אני כן יודע שאחרי 7 לאוקטובר, אחרי שפעם אחר פעם הם טועים בהערכות האסטרטגיות שלהם, מאוסלו והגירוש מגוש קטיף, ועד לקונספציית חמאס מורתע שקדמה לטבח, מאז מותר וצריך להטיל ספק בהמלצותיהם.
Smotrich is 100% correct. Based on 30 plus years of failed security decisions, it is our right to question and doubt the heads of the security and intelligence services and no longer blindly trust their judgment and decisions. Fighters on the ground, they are the holy idea of soldiers winning this war, but not the senior command. The senior command are not trustworthy. Their decisions and continuous statements prove how untrustworthy they are. So the question remains, why are so many current and former members of the security and intelligence establishment pushing for Israel to, in a sense, surrender to Hamas without winning this war? Because everyone knows that even in the best deal with Hamas being discussed, they will not be freeing all of our captives, only some of them. Hence, Israel is being pressured to end the war, allow Hamas to remain in power, rearm, and reposition itself in Gaza, because we would, in a sense, agree to IDF pulling out of Gaza and the Gaza-Egyptian border. Hamas will have free reign to rebuild itself across Gaza and have no reason to ever free our remaining captives. Because in essence, Israel would have been forced in the ceasefire deal to have given up all our cards. That would be leaving the rest of the captives to die in Gaza. This is why I believe that Netanyahu has not agreed to all those conditions, and why there will not be a deal, and rightly so. While we have a moral right to return the captives in Gaza, the Prime Minister and the Israeli government also have a moral right to protect all 9 million Israeli citizens, and allowing Hamas to take over control of Gaza and not free all of our captives endangers all of Israel. So why in the world are so many current and former IDF security and intelligence leaders pushing to end this war with a disastrous ceasefire deal for Israel that doesn't even bring back all of our captives, and instead day after day shame Netanyahu and call the October 7th massacre the Netanyahu massacre? 2 reasons. Number 1, they hate Netanyahu. And the whole campaign is about toppling Netanyahu and his government. That is what the whole protest movement is about and has been about for years. Every year they just come up with different reasons why they're protesting against Netanyahu. But it's all about toppling Netanyahu and his government. Today it's the captives in Gaza. Reason number two, because the Biden administration wants to topple the Netanyahu government while the Biden administration are still in power. And the current and former security commanders of Israel are basically following orders from the Biden administration to the detriment of Israel and Israeli citizens. Why? Because the Biden administration wants to force upon us a two-state solution. If you want to better understand how all this works, watch this video.
קורה להם אבל משהו מתת-אלוף לאלוף. מי שמכיר את המערכת, תתי-אלופים בצה"ל מבינים שכדי להתקדם בווקטור הזה שנקרא אלוף, אתה צריך לעבור דרך כל מיני מערכים. לדוגמה, קרן וקסנר. אתה הולך להרווארד, מסדרים לך את המוח בצורה גיאופוליטית, ואז אתה מתיישר לפי ערכים שמסמנים לך, ואז תהיה אלוף. זה קורה להמון מפקדי אוגדות.
אתה אומר את זה מידיעה?
אני אומר את זה מידיעה. יש היום, בשנים האחרונות, תופעה של מפקדים שהיו מאוד לוחמניים. אגב, גדי איזנקוט, הרמטכ"ל שלנו, אמרתי לכם, היה מח"ט שלי, אני זוכר אותו, מח"ט לוחמני, גולנצ'יק כמו שאומרים. משהו שם קורה בדרך לציר האלוף, הם צריכים לעבור איזה שינוי תודעתי, אני רוצה להגיד מילה אחת כן חיובית. מפקדי האוגדות הנוכחיים. תותחים. המלחמה תותחים והם יהיו האלופים הבאים, המטכ"ל הולך בעזרת השם להשתמש.
ורק משפט על זה, חוץ מקרן וקסנר, follow the money, ותראו איזה אלופים כשמשתחררים מהצבא מקבלים פתאום עמית מחקר בכל מיני ארגונים ששופכים עליהם כסף מהאמריקאים, והאם פעם נתקלתם באיזה סוס דוהר שהתקבל למכונים האלה?
כן, האמת היא, אפשר לקחת את יאיר גולן כסוג של מקרה מבחן, כי עד שהוא הגיע לווקסנר, אז אני הייתי איתו ביחד, הוא היה בלימודים שם. יאיר גולן, אוקיי? הוא היה מאוד לוחמני.
נכון.
ומאז שהוא חזר מווקסנר, הוא הלך הרבה יותר שמאלה, זה נקודה מעניינת. עכשיו, אם אנשים בימין או בעם ישראל...
Here you heard a brigadier general in the IDF, Yoni Shetbom, who was a friend, saying straight out that the United States, via postmodern Jewish NGOs like the Wexner Foundation, brainwash and neuter our commanding officers before they become generals. It wasn't just Brigadier General Shetbom saying this, it was also law professor Moshe Cohen Eliyahu, who is politically left of center and not a right-winger. He said that he personally saw the change that happened to former Deputy Chief of Staff Yair Golan because of that program. So all the IDF generals end up going to Harvard and being neutered and brainwashed. They come back to Israel more interested in following the directives of the US government than of protecting Israel and Israeli citizens. Now we can better understand why all the pressure from the top current and former IDF generals to shame Netanyahu into a ceasefire. They want to make it happen while Biden is still president. They know that if and when Trump is elected president, then their plans to topple the Netanyahu government, working together with the Biden administration in order for the Biden administration to force upon Israel the delusional two-state solution, is dead. They only have a few weeks left to try to topple the Netanyahu government due to the U.S. election season taking place right now, because Biden only has so much time to focus on foreign affairs. So they are ramping up the pressure here in Israel. But people have to understand, our senior command is compromised, thanks again to the education they receive in Harvard and the connections and think tanks that they are enticed with in D.C., thanks to postmodern Jewish NGOs like the Wexner Foundation, as explained by Brigadier General Yoni Shetbom and Israeli law professor Moshe Cohen Eliyahu. This is what Netanyahu has been up against for all the years he has been prime minister. A senior IDF intelligence command structure that is more interested in taking orders from D.C. because they're neutered there than in doing what is necessary to protect Israeli citizens. I cannot tell you how blessed we are to have Netanyahu as prime minister instead of all the other realistic options we have until the day comes that we are able to replace Netanyahu with someone better who can finish the job that Netanyahu has started. But it is important to understand that Netanyahu all these years and even today in the middle of fighting an existential war has been fighting against hostile U.S. administrations, hostile international geopolitical environment, the EU, the UN, and NGOs, and a hostile deep state in Israel, all working together against the interests of Israel, even during an existential war. Like I always tell you, though, we are winning this war, thanks to our holy IDF soldiers on the ground, despite the failure of the top military intelligence leadership. And even more important, we are winning this war because of the spiritual awakening and the unification of the Jewish people, our unity of purpose that we are all experiencing today. We are not just winning because of the heroic fighting of our holy IDF soldiers on the ground, but we are also winning because of all the Jews today saying Shema Yisrael, putting on tefillin, trying to keep the Sabbath more than they used to, etc. That's the spiritual battle we're winning as a Jewish people. It is the combination of both these things that are behind why I am so confident that we are winning this war and that we will win this war. There's still going to be downs and challenges, but we're winning this war despite the massive challenges we still have to overcome. That's why I'm positive. That's the inspiring words I want all of you to internalize. If you are not yet a subscriber to the Pulse of Israel, subscribe. This is what you get, the belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect truth that you hear nowhere else. And if you support this work and the messages we get out there, help us get our videos seen even more, because we're being censored everywhere, hardly seen in social media. Your donations help. We're a donor-based organization. Just click on the donate button at pulseofisrael.com. And everyone, remember, Am Yisrael Chai. We are the eternal Jewish nation. Internalize that. Strengthen your faith in one above. Challenges are still ahead, but things are going to be good. Am Yisrael Chai.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.